With the next step on my to-do list being revisiting all of the pipeworks, I'm doing my best to procrastinate as much as possible. For example, by stuffing foam snakes into the gap between the ceiling plasterboard and the stud work that I had opened up when I ripped the old plasterboard sheets off the wall studs. But seriously, it was time to crack on with the job, so my first victim of the day was the old waste pipe. The measurements of that shoddy contraption were all wrong for what I had in mind, so its days were not only numbered, but in fact over. Because the fittings were solvent welded, they couldn't just be pulled apart, but needed to be cut out. I had a multi-tool with a normal wood blade, and it really made short work of this step. That looks so much cleaner already. Before I could rebuild the waste pipe, I had to sort the subfloor out first, which I will edit in another video, so that I have all the pipeworks in one episode and all of the floor work in another. One thing I definitely wanted to do differently to what was here before was to run all the pipes in the walls and not to just have them jut out of the floor, because that's not only an eyesore, but also lazy and just generally bad workmanship.
And this is where my schematics, the measurements really comes in handy, because right there it tells me that the left hand side of the under-sink cabinet has to be 112 centimeters away from my window wall, that's my reference wall, and because that cabinet is 60 centimeters wide, I have to add another 30 to find the exact center of it, and that's where I want my drain pipe to be situated. Now 112 to do here, plus 30 to get to the middle of the cabinet brings me right about there. And that's my center. That's where I'm going to make the hole.
Next thing is to make a template of the shower tray. It came well packaged in extra thick and sturdy cardboard, which has the right dimensions for me to trace the outline of the shower tray itself and the circular drain cut out. The board is then cut along the markings to give it the exact measurements of the shower tray. I then place it where the shower tray is going to be installed later and mark the joists along the inside of the drain cutout, as that is where I need to notch the joists to make room for the shower trap. Then I add 20mm of tolerance to each side of the circle I just marked using the drain grate, and then mark the depth of the notch going off the shower trap held next to the joists. Using a jigsaw, I cut along my pencil marks, and because the jigsaw blade isn't long enough, decide to cut the rest with a multi-tool. With the notch made, I just place the shower trap in the notch and then quickly hold the spirit level over it to make sure that it fits in the cutout. Before the installation of the waste pipe, I'm taking my time to measure everything, dry fit, make corrections and make sure it all fits together before I solvent weld it into place. Because once that adhesive has gone off, there are no more corrections, unless with a hacksaw. As the saying goes, measure twice, cut once. I try using best practices as much as I can. When working with waste pipe fittings, I try to use 45-degree angles rather than 90-degree ones for a steadier, more even flow. I also dry fit connections and in spots with several elbows, pencil mark how they should line up to make my life easier once the solvent is on, and I only have seconds to properly align them before the glue sets.
Before welding PVC pipes with solvent weld, it's best to score them a little with fine or medium grit sandpaper. The rough surface helps the material bond better. Once the solvent weld is applied and the pipes joined together, there are only moments for corrections before the PVC is irreversibly bonded, so it really pays to have all measurements correct before this point. When the solvent weld is cured and set and the pipes are in place, it's time for a little water can testing, which is easily the most fun bit of this whole process.
Fitting the shower trap to the waste pipe was a long and frustrating process, and I didn't film any of it, mostly because it was a long and frustrating process, during which I learned that when continental European pipes and fittings say 40mm, they really mean 40mm, either internal or external diameter, and so always fit together. With the British manufactured waste pipes and fittings that outfits like B&Q and Screwfix are selling in Ireland, that's not the case, despite them being labelled 40mm. But they're decidedly not 40mm, neither on the outside nor the inside. This pipe here measures 42mm on the outside and 38 on the inside. This is obviously a problem when ordering fixtures from Amazon Germany or from IKEA, because they have the European exact 40mm standard fittings that won't connect with the local interpretations of what 40mm might be. After a lot of trial and error, because not all British fittings fit on all British pipe either, I encountered 41 and 38mm, as well as 42 and 36. I managed to make a good and watertight connection with some flexible washing machine drain pipe, and finally was able to move on.
Now, with the waste pipe out of the way, I really have to get moving with the actual water pipes. So I've moved these two fellas into the wall already. This is my hot water supply, that's the cold water supply. And the idea is to put in T-joints here, one there, and then connect the shower over here through the studs, and also put in wall connectors, whatever they're called, put on valves for easy connection to the tap hoses. One thing I've done already is to put armoured flex hose or flex pipe onto my radiator pipes here, and I've capped these off with just radiator blank nuts. Come with O-rings. They're going to wait there until I'm ready to put the wall panels in, at which time these guys are then just going to poke through and connect to the radiator. But that's definitely a story for another day. So before I can connect all of the pipes, what I want to do is I've marked out where my center line is and where I want my shower connectors to be. So now I have to screw in some reinforcements or back plates in between the studs that I can then connect my 90-degree wall elbows to, and they have to be exactly 15 centimeters or 150 mils a pound.
I put elbows on the pipe ends to measure where I need to drill through the stud work, and then with the Forstner bit, drill through the stud work. Next I'm threading the pipe through the holes that I've just made, and then connect the pipes using 1/2-inch compression fittings. I've shown plenty of this in previous videos, so I'm just going to blitz through this in a dirty time lapse. I'm once again using 1/2" radiator blank nuts to close all open water outlets. And this is what the water supply pipework looks like completed. I used some 1/2" pipe legging to insulate the hot water supply pipe, but other than that, this job is pretty much done.